So, if you recall, linear equations is the way we can read or write, or graph I should say, lines on a graph, right? Well, before I do that, remember linear equations, for the ones that we use in this class, the one in particular is formatted like this: y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. And yesterday, we were going over the m. We were looking for the m yesterday. Do you remember what the m was called? Slope. Today, all we need to do is find the b of a given line or point, and then next thing you know, that's all you need. And then just with that alone, you'd be able to distinguish different lines amongst each other. You would be able to graph the linear equations. You'd be able to match a specific line to a specific linear equation with mastering how to find the m and b. Yesterday we went over all the tricks of finding the m. I tried to publish the video from yesterday and it wouldn't. Maybe because the video was 43 minutes long. Apparently that was how long the lecture was yesterday. I apologize for that. So I'm going to try my best to upload that today. And then we'll upload this one and hopefully you study it for tomorrow's quiz. But anyways, today, let's master how to find the b of y equals mx plus b. Well, first things first, you need to know what b even means, what it stands for. The b of this linear equation, y equals mx plus b, actually is something called the Y-intercept. It is called the Y-intercept. So, we have the slope and we have the y-intercept. That is all you ever need to graph a line, to distinguish two separate lines or match two different lines to their appropriate linear equations. All you need is your m and b filled with a number of some sort. Just like slope from yesterday, there are two ways to find the slope. Either graphically or, like the ones we did yesterday, when you're given 2 points and you have to find it mathematically. Just like slope, there is that same two approaches for finding the b, aka the y-intercept. Obviously, just like yesterday, we're going to start off with the easier of the two, finding the b of this line. So, first things first, b. What does it stand for? The y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? It's what it says. It's in the name. It's the point in which your line passes the y-axis. Do we recall what the y-axis is? Yeah. The actual coordinate plane, the vertical line on the coordinate plane. That's the y-axis. And the x-axis is the other line. So tell me, when does this red line touch the y-axis? It's right there. It's right there. -1. So what is your b? -1. That's simple. My friends, you just now learned how to find the y-intercept of a line visually. So, let's recap. How do you find the y-intercept of a line visually or graphically? You look. That easy. But now let's put it all together. If you want to, on the side somewhere, oopsie. If you want to, on the side somewhere, put that, your b is -1. Alright, you do that. But Let's practice our skills from yesterday. Let's find the m of this line. Let's find the m. So I already did you the favor of plotting 2 points. The 2 points that are there. Because that's what you have to do to find the m. Always locate 2 points. Then we do the famous rise over run. So doesn't matter at what point you start off with. You are going to count your steps that you take to go vertically, to get vertically parallel to the other point. Then you're going to run it or reverse it. So it doesn't matter which one you start off with. Let's say you start off with this one. How many steps do you take to get parallel to the other points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I count correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. 9. You rose 9, which was right here. And then you run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Simplify your slope. We did this yesterday. It came out to 3/4. Now just tell me, is it a positive slope or a negative slope?
Positive.
I have one person saying positive. Anybody else?
You say it was 12 instead of 11?
Yeah. I have 2 people saying negative, 2 people saying positive.
Negative.
Negative, there's only one way to find out. Well, there's 2 ways. Either you look at it and you already know, or to make 100% sure of it, draw your car with the hood facing the right and ask yourself, is it going uphill or downhill? Downhill. So guess what? This line has a negative slope. So this is all just a recap from yesterday, this little part, finding the slope of a line. So your m is obviously negative 3/4, right? My friends, you have to do this exact same process. Find the slope, which is your m. Find your b, which is -1. What are you going to do now? Well, you are going to put it into our formula, y equals mx plus b. All you're going to do is substitute the m and the b with the numbers that you found. And then just like that, y equals negative 3/4x minus 1. There's no point in putting plus -1. It's the same thing as saying -1. And just like that, you found the linear equation of this line right here. Does that make sense? There's only 2 things that we just learned today, which is looking at what point the line touches the y-intercept. That's your b. Then getting your b and your m that you should figure out by now. You should be familiar with figuring out right now. And then punching it in to its appropriate spots, which is the m variable and the b variable. And just like that, that is the name of this line. That is how this line is written out like. Y equals negative 3/4x minus 1. Any questions on this? So, on a multiple choice problem, they could give you, they can give you three different linear equations. Yeah, 3 different linear equations 4 is most likely what they're going to give you. And it's up to you to decide which one of those linear equations is the correct one depicting that specific line. Obviously, we already know it's you know, B. B is the answer. Oopsie. B is the answer. But most likely that's how the question in terms of graphs they're going to give you. That's one of the questions that they might give you on a test. Is they'll give you a line and they'll say, what is the linear equation? To find the linear equation, you have to find the y-intercept, which is your b, and find the m, which is your slope, which is what we did yesterday. Very quick. Let me erase the correct answer and this incorrect answer. And how about we practice a skill right now? Let's work backwards. We were given a line, and in order to match that line to the correct linear equation, you found the slope, which is what we did yesterday, and then you looked at when it crossed the y-intercept, you wrote that down, and then you put it on y equals mx plus b. That's straightforward. You'll get that through practice today. But let's work backwards. What if they give us a linear equation, which is not this line, by the way. This was the one before that I just erased. But I'm leaving it up here so that we can see the difference. We are going to graph the linear equation y equals 3 over 4x plus 1. Now we're going to see how different it turns out to that line that we originally started with. But let's practice our skill first of how the heck do we graph a line when given a linear equation. We'll just work a little backwards, my friends. This linear equation right here. At what point does this imaginary line pass the y-axis? What is the y-intercept of this imaginary line?
The minus 1.
Look at the linear equation.
Oh, that one.
That one.
Okay.
Not the one that we already did. Not this one. Not here. We are about to graph this line. What happened? We are about to graph this line right here. So just looking at that linear equation, what is the y-intercept of that linear equation? At the 1. Where is that at? It is right here. Okay. By the way, this is the steps that you want to take, right? To graph linear equations. Look at the y-intercept. Boom, 1. What do you do now? Well, they gave us our slope, obviously. They're always going to give you a slope. The slope in this specific linear equation is rise 3, run 4. So what do? Well, we start at this point that we originally plotted, our y-intercept, and guess what we do? We rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it's there, and I know it ain't a negative line because the slope is a positive. So, guess what? All you ever need is 2 points. Because with 2 points, you could then make if I could not make a mistake with my human error side of things. There it goes. Kind of. Whatever. We could totally see how different in just a negative slope, in just a positive y-intercept instead of the negative from the one previously, we could see that it's a totally different line. So that is the key, my friends. This line right here, shoot. With the one that we just did right now, let's say I were to draw this line here, actually like that, has the same y-intercept. You already know this blue line that I just wrote out, that I just drew out, you already know that its y-intercept will have the same y-intercept as the one we just graph, which is +1. But the thing is, why is it that it's off by a bit? Is because its slope is off by a bit, which means it does not have a slope of 3/4. It probably has a slope of, for all I know, 2.5/6. I don't know, right? You could have decimals. But most likely we ain't going to deal with decimals. But every line is different. Every line has its own unique name. It all has its own unique linear equation. And it's up to us to master how to find the m and how to find the b, because that is how we know how to name each line. That is how we know how to graph a name. Very quickly, let me make this a clean slate right now. Let me make this into a clean slate. And let me draw this. Nope. Nope. Okay, so here's a perfect line right here. We are going to write out the linear equation of this. The reason why I drew this specific line in particular is because to show you how weird some linear equations might look. Right? So first things first. When does this line cross the y-axis? What's your y-intercept of this line?
0.
0. Okay, good. On the side somewhere, just write out your b equals 0. I mean, that's always handy to do. All right, nothing new from this point forward. We learned it yesterday. Find me my m. Well, what do we need to do to find our m? We need to obviously locate 2 points. Well, you already found one right there at 0, so just stick with that. Now, where's another point?
7 and minus 7.
I like the most farthest ones apart. I love those. Let's do this.
Same
So, my huh?
Same on the other side.
Same on the other side. Oh, is that the one that you were originally talking about?
Yeah.
My bad. Well, who cares?
Right.
Same thing.
Same thing.
There's actually a lot of points in this one. But okay, you've located 2 points. Let's do our rise of a run. How much do I rise by? Let's say I start on this one. Let's say I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I go down 7. How much do you run by? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. 7 over 7. What does it simplify down to be?
1.
1. 1 over 1. So you rise 1, you run 1. The thing is, always check before you move on. Is this a positive slope or a negative slope?
Negative.
Negative, because it's going down. So guess what? Your m is -1. Alright, you just found your m, you just found your b. Let's input it into y equals mx plus b. If y equals mx plus b looks like this, I'll write it out here for you guys. Y equals mx plus b. All you have to do is put what you found into its designated spot. So, final linear equation being y equals -1x plus 0. Am I correct? Good. That is a 100% correct answer. But now I just need to warn you all what you might see as a final answer. Because again, math loves to portray things in a different look, right? So what you might see as your final answer under a multiple choice option is y equals -x. Do we know why?
Because the 1 can be invisible.
The 1 is invisible, so that explains why there's no number in front of the x, right? I mean, this technically is y equals mx. Y equals -1x. So your m, when you see this, your mind should be 1. -1 in particular. -1 for the slope. When you don't see a number there, your mind should tell you that it's a 1. But then, where's my plus b? Where's my plus? Well, the thing is, if you don't see a plus anything, that should also tell you that this line passes through the 0 mark. Because math don't like to put plus 0. They don't like zeros, right? So they just leave that invisible also. So if you ever see something weird like this, y equals -x, you should be aware of it, that the slope is -1 and your y-intercept is 0. So how about we graph a weird looking, well, before we graph another weird looking linear equation like this, let me draw one more line and show you how its linear equation might look like. Here's this line. We didn't really get to it yesterday, but now is the perfect time to do it. So here's the line. What is its linear equation? Well, tell me.
0.
Well, tell me. When does this line cross the y-axis?
6.
So you know your b is 6, but my m, what did I tell you yesterday? What did I not have a chance to tell you yesterday, but I ended up telling you towards the end?
It's vertical or horizontal.
It automatically has a slope of 0. So just like that, you found your m and you found your b. So how about we put it into our linear equation, y equals mx plus b. So we do that, y equals 0x plus 6, right? That is 100% an accurate linear equation. If you do that on the quiz of mine, you will get credits. But the thing is, how will math display this in their multiple choice options? They'd most likely give you just this, y equals 6. Do you know why? If you see y equals 6, you already know your y-intercept is 6. Because that's all you see, is b. But if you don't see no 0x, if you don't see no 1x, if you don't just see an x, that means your mind should click and you should be like, oh, this doesn't have a slope. It has a slope of 0. Which means it's the flat line one. If the test gave you this, let's say the test gave you 4 different coordinate planes with 4 different lines, right? And they said, which of the following graphs depict the following linear equation? Your mind should be going immediately to the line that's flat and to the line that passes the y-intercept of 6. These tricky ones are the tricky ones. You'll only get familiar with this through practice of the normal ones. So that's why the majority of the ones you're going to see today are the traditional ones. Probably 1 or 2 flat ones, but you should know that. You'll get familiar with that. We're going to turn it up a notch, my friends, because if all of this was writing out the linear equation when given a line, now we are going to write out the linear equation when given 2 ordered pairs. Yes? Okay, so now we are going to find the linear equation of line Z. Line Z, my friends, passes through the following 2 points. 0, 2, and 1 and negative 3. What is the linear equation of the following line? Well, like I said yesterday, the last thing you're going to do is try to, on your blank piece of paper or blank piece of whiteboard, for those of you taking your GEDs, try to draw some grid lines, try to draw a coordinate plane, plot those 2 points, and then make the line, and then find the linear equation from that. Rise over run for M, and then looking at where it intercepts. No, 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 no. You are going to find the linear equation of this line mathematically. Now, believe it or not, yesterday, we've already done half of it. To find the linear equation of line Z, this line that passes through this specific 2 points, to find the linear equation of any 2 points, you need to first find the slope. All right? This is what we did yesterday. Do we remember how to find the slope when given 2 points? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is the slope of a line formula. So let's just recap very quick. There is a formula that goes y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we said yesterday this is x, this is y, but because it's my first one, those are your firsts. And then because this is my second set, that is my second. So, tell me, my friends, let's write it out. Let's input these numbers into the formula. What should go into my y2 section?
-3.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to tell you, always do this, remember? Use parentheses to your advantage. So, y2, somebody said it, -3. What should go in here, into my y1 spot?
2.
What should go in there? 1, and the last one being 0. Next thing you know, we come out with the slope of what? -3 minus 2 is -5 over 1 minus 0 is 1, which breaks it down to being -5 as a final slope. Nothing new here. This is what we did yesterday. So you have to do all that just like from yesterday. You have to find the slope first. Your m equals -5. All we have to do now is go find our b mathematically. And this is where y'all are going to open up your ears and eyes and try your best to pay attention. Do not get tripped up in any way to what I'm about to show you. So how do we find the b mathematically? This is what you do, my friends. Uh-oh, it's glitching out. This is what we do. What we do is we look at our friend, our y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Right now we are trying to find the b. The thing is, we are going to use our m. Let me use a different color. We are going to use our m that we just found. And we are going to use one of these points. One of them. One set. You decide whichever one you want. I will show you, I will pick it for this example. But you're going to use your m and one of those points, and you are going to temporarily put it into our best friend, y equals mx plus b, in its designated variables. And then we are going to use, you guessed it, equations to solve for the missing variable, the b. This is what I mean. You are going to literally pick one of these. I, just for today's purposes, am going to use my second one. And I'll tell you this right now, it doesn't matter which one you get, you will still get the correct answer. You just need to pick one set. So I am going to use my 1 and negative 3. And I'm obviously going to use my slope that I already found. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the designated variables of y equals mx plus b. Let's look at it over here. My y. If I'm using this set right here, what is my y? Negative 3. So I'm going to put negative 3. Equals, what was my m that I had found? Negative 5. What was my x from the set of point that I borrowed? 1 plus b. I'll do this so that you don't think it's a 6. Because my b's do come out looking like 6 sometimes. So all I did was I temporarily borrowed 1 point, borrowed my m, and I put it into y equals mx plus b. Reason being is we are going to use math. We are going to use our skills of equations to solve for b. Do we recall how to find the missing variable? Or did last week really, that little break that we took kind of, kick us in the butt?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, let's refresh it. We build a wall! Side A. Let me erase all of this temporarily just so we could look at this cleanly. This part over here, is there anything to do? No. It's just a number. This part over here, is there anything that I can do? What can I do? Multiply? Negative 5 times 1, right? It's right there. You could totally see it. What's negative 5 times 1? Negative 3 equals negative 5 plus b. All right. Is there anything else that I could simplify on this world? No. Which means now we start flipping stuff. We start moving stuff accordingly. What needs to be moved so that the worlds are happy? How do I move the 5? You add the 5, cancels out, plus 5. Negative 3 plus 5 is what?
2.
2 equals b. Oh my goodness, you just found b. You just found the b. b is 2. M is negative 5. b is 2. Guess what you do now? You put it in its final linear equation format, which is y equals negative 5x plus 2. You just found the linear equation, my friends. Oopsies. Maybe not. So that is
Still messed up.
that is your final linear equation. That is your final linear equation right there. You used a little bit of algebra to find the b. So earlier I said you decide which set you want to use. You decide. Because no matter what, you'd get the correct answer. Well, let's do that right now. Let's erase all of this. Well, we'll leave the answers up just to see whether we come out with the correct one. But let's use the same exact method. We know we're going to be temporarily using our slope. And we're going to be temporarily, this time around, using this point. by the way, I'll tell you this right now, in case you're thinking about it. No, you cannot use this x and that y. You got that? You decide which set you want to use, and you're stuck with that set. So, in this case, we're going to see the example of this set right here. So, again, it always helps to write out the linear equation, y equals mx plus b. That's going to be your buddy from this point forward. Memorize that formula, y equals mx plus b. It has a nice ring to it, so it's not that hard. And then you're going to put in all the numbers in its correct variable. My y, if I'm using this box, or this point ordered pair right there, what's my y?
2.
2 equals, what was my m? What's my x? Plus b. So now we use math. Split the worlds. Nothing to do here. Something to do here. What's negative 5 times 0? Yes. 2 equals 0 plus b. My friends, if you didn't spot it now, you already found what b is. But let's say you didn't spot it and you wanted to continue on with your equation. I mean, go for it, my children. It's fine. You could minus 0, cancel it out, minus 0. What do we get? 2 equals b. You will get the correct answer every time. So now comes the little tips for you. The little tips. You can decide on whichever point you want to use. You're going to get the correct answer. To make your life easy, if you have 2 options to choose from, 2 points to choose from, always go for the one that either has a 0 or a 1. In this case, this one had a 0, that one had a 1. Your best bet is still always go with the 0. That's always the one you're wishing for, because it makes your life easier when you're doing the equation part of things. But chances are you could get something, you could get really weird ordered pairs. You always want to look for the one with the 0, always one with the 1. If there isn't either of the two, look for the ordered pair that doesn't have negatives in it. And if you have no such luxury to choose from, there are just 2 ordered pairs that are just messy and ugly and nasty, like negative 23, comma, negative 62, and the other ordered pair is another nasty set of numbers, then just pick one and go with your math. All right? But this is a good example of how a 0 is actually pretty straightforward and easy to do. So, my friends, do we think we could find the linear equation both graphically and mathematically at this point?
I think so.
Well, there's only one way to find out.